Okay, over to you, Lee.
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Lee, and I'm the Deputy Team Manager with Buckinghamshire and Surrey Trading Standards Service. And I would just like to welcome you to this webinar, highlighting how the use of technology can enhance your effectiveness in not only tackling fraud and scams, but also empowering and safeguarding our residents. I'm going to start with a couple of stats. Many of you will already be aware of how serious fraud is in the current economic climate, but National Crime Agency figures indicate that 41% of all crime in England and Wales is fraud. 73% of the entire UK adult population have been targeted by fraudsters, and 18% have been repeat victims. I mean, that is scary. A little bit of a distressing statistic. Bogus property repairers or rogue traders, they'll usually take the opportunity to commit a distraction burglary if the opportunity arises. Unfortunately, our statistics indicate that an older person who falls victim to a distraction burglary is 2.4 times more likely to go into residential care or to die within 2 years. That's a very upsetting and very distressing statistic. But tackling these crimes, it requires a coordinated multi-agency approach, not only in terms of investigating the offenders, but also in protecting our communities and supporting those that are being targeted, preventing repeat victimization and, building our community resilience. Now, due to the significant financial and psychological effect on victims and on residents, it can impact on a whole range of local, public, private, and voluntary sector organisations. And together, we've all got a role to play in tackling this. And that's why a partnership approach can create greater consistency and ultimately better outcomes for both enforcement and our local residents. So this afternoon, you're going to hear from our key partners. This is Surrey and Buckinghamshire's story. Your individual circumstances will be different, but hopefully you can take some from what we've done or our learning points and apply them in your own local areas. So enough of me yapping. Without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to our first speaker, which is Matthew from Remo, and he's going to go through the camera technology that we've adopted. Thank you. Over to you, Matthew.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Yeah, I'm Matthew. I'm the director of e-commerce over at Remo, the door cam company. And I guess, Natalie, did you want to share the slides?
Yep, let me quickly grab those. Sorry, bear with just a moment.
No worries.
Right. Just close everything else so that it runs smoothly, and I will share my screen and include sound, screen. Okay.
Beautiful.
Can everyone see that? One?
Yes, I could see that now.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Getting a bit slow. Slideshow from beginning. There we go.
All right. So let's talk about the door cam. It's a, oh, did you have a question?
Nope, it's all yours, Matthew. Go for it.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So, yeah, we're bringing a product to you. It's a revolutionary product. It's a super easy product to use. It's called the Door Cam, and it's currently on our third version at the moment. It's a really easy device to use. All you have to do is put it over the door, download a mobile app. It's super easy for any resident to use of any age, and it'll help combat all of these crazy statistics over there in the UK. And it's not just the UK; it's all over. It's everywhere. It's just a very huge problem, and we're bringing a product to the market that's going to help combat that, and also combat other issues as well. So I guess did you want to go to the next? All right. So huge issue is doorstep selling, and basically people are coming up as Lee mentioned. So people are coming up to the door, they're pressure selling, they're selling you to fake charity collection, selling you different types of services to fix up your home, and that's just another way for these people to get inside of your home and take whatever they want, and take advantage of people who don't necessarily know what's going on. So we're bringing you a product that will easily fix this, and also prevent crimes on the streets as well. I guess if you want to go to the next one. All right, so this is a video that explains exactly what the device is and how it works, and then also how you can keep track of your loved ones, essentially. I think the sound might be off.
I think you're muted, Natalie. Could that be it?
Could be, though. It shouldn't affect the what am I doing a minute? Let me stop sharing a moment. Share, include sound. Right. Try it again. From current. Right, let me know if you can hear this or not. You hear that?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, as you could see, it's not like the traditional doorbell. It's you hang it right over the door, so as you're opening the door, it's still recording. So that's definitely a key point. And when these people let these strangers inside the home, you could see how they're accessing the home. So with a regular doorbell camera, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. It might miss something. But as soon as this camera sees motion, it'll start recording, and it'll stop recording when there's no more motion. And another point in that is you can put these cameras anywhere. So you could put these cameras inside. It doesn't necessarily have to face the outside. So you could put them over any door, and it doesn't have to be fixated to a wall, essentially. So a big part in this door cam release is reducing crime in your areas. So there's a lot of benefits to this to your residents. It's preventing unwanted guests. So as you saw in the video, you saw the lady talking to the delivery person. There's a two-way talk mode, so these people don't have to open the door. They can just talk to these people, and then they could see what they're looking for, and then judge it based off that. And then also for crime units and whoever needs evidence, our door camera comes with a 3-day cloud that doesn't have to be purchased. So it's automatically included within the device. So you have 3 days worth of storage automatically in each device. And then obviously we store it, and anything that needs to be released, we release to the authorities based on what's going on. So there's no lost evidence, and you also keep residents safe. So even if I know there's a lot of fake cameras out there you see online, so people have this this paranoia. If there's a camera out, they're more or less likely to commit a crime. So the more cameras that are out and about, the less crime there will be, just based off people thinking that they're being watched. And you'll also be able to prevent package theft, which is a huge issue, especially with Amazon and whatnot. So that's definitely an added benefit. And what I think most people buy the cameras for is package theft. But this is just a huge add-on, especially for those in a highly populated area. It's very hard to keep track of everything. So with the camera, this would help a lot. All right, if you want to go to the perfect, thank you. So on the left side, there's a flyer that's currently being distributed by the council, and it's basically giving it to anyone really who's susceptible to these sort of crimes. And on the back of the flyer is a QR code. So as Lee mentioned before, the people who are most susceptible are people who are of the older age and people who are cognitively impaired. So these cameras would help out with everything and be able to reduce the amount of frauds. So if you want to go to the next one. Perfect. So if you want to take a picture of the QR code, this is exactly what's on the flyer that's being distributed. So Lee is in charge of this whole program, and if you guys want to get involved, just let us know, and we can definitely facilitate everything and follow what they're doing. So it's essentially the brainchild of the council, and it's great to see all of this come to fruition, and we're excited to help out other councils as well, and see how far we could take it. So this QR code will take you to the application. It's really easy. They just have to fill out some information about what's going on, who they are, and then the application goes to the back end where they take it in, and we give them a door cam. And then we'll go over the installation later as well. And then Paul. So Paul is our UK representative, and he'll be taking all of the technical issues and whatnot, and facilitating all the logistics. So if you guys have any questions for him, Paul, did you want to unmute your? Oh, I think you stopped to unmute your.
I think you're on mute, Paul.
Right, that's it. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we've worked with Remo now for well over a year, and with the parent company for over 20 years. We're a very technically based organization, so we're used to solving customer issues if they do arise, but also doing any training, any support that is necessary. And we're based here in the middle of Buckinghamshire and Aylesbury. So very easy access to various parts of the UK. So I think that really sums it all up. We're here to help and facilitate Remo expansion within the UK.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I think just to give a little bit of context, because obviously there are Ring doorbells out there, there are all sorts of different things. Why does Surrey use this particular brand? Well, not brand, but type of camera. Now, the reason that we have adopted this is with the door camera, it just captures the person coming up the drive, which is fair enough. But like as Matthew was explaining, because this hangs over the door, when you open the door, it continues to record. So it's actually recording the interaction between the resident and the rogue trader. So if the resident is distressed, if the resident is wanting to get out of it, you're actually recording that. So that's why we've adopted this one. We found it a little bit more better at capturing the evidence of the actual interaction itself. But I mean, that's fantastic. So that's doorstep crime covered. Now, the other bugbear that we all have, and I know we all have it, nuisance calls, scam calls, fraud calls, you know, absolutely shocking. So I'm going to hand over now
I think
to
we have
Steve.
a quick question. You said that in terms of power supply, there's both USB C and then there's the D battery, so it could last up to 6 months depending on how much traffic there is. So anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, so it's not hardwired like the trueCall where you have to get an electrician out to install it. It is easy to install and remove. But moving on, thank you, Matthew.
Oh, and
Now-
also, sorry, there's one more question. You said in terms of the cloud, if you want more than 3 days, it's $3 a month. So I know that's USD, so that's probably around what, like £4?
£3 or £4
Yeah. Okay.
a month.
Fab. So now, Steve, over to you and
Thank
your miracle device.
Right, let's see if I can make this miracle system work and include sound and allow me to show you my presentation. How does that look? Is that there?
Very good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, Lee, for inviting me to come and talk to everyone. This is a brief introduction to trueCall. I know there are a few of you who've seen this before, so apologies to you to see it again. Hopefully you'll pick up something new. Interesting to have Matthew from America on the call. I found this fantastic advert from America showing the family and their relationship to the phone. And this was actually how it was like when I was a kid growing up. When the phone rang, everyone was excited, rushing to it, finding out who it is. Unfortunately, the world has changed, and now we really have to treat a ringing phone with suspicion, because there's all sorts of things all sorts of people calling you with all sorts of options and pitches, many that you don't want. And we at trueCall, we classify incoming calls into 4 categories. We talk about legitimate calls, and those are your friends, family members, welcome calls from organizations, you know, the vet phoning up, the doctor phoning up, whoever. Then at the next level of the nuisance calls, these are not necessarily dangerous. It's a legitimate product being sold in a legitimate way, but it can be a damn nuisance to have someone phoning up saying, do you want to change your gas supplier or electricity supplier? Third level starts getting a bit more concerning. These are the predatory calls. It may be a legitimate product, but the sales approach may be illegitimate. We'd sort of call that sort of sharp practice, unfair commercial practice, hard sell, or coercive sales methods are used to sell products. There is a product there, though. You're just paying a lot for it, or you're being told it will do things that it won't do. And then finally, the out and out scam calls where there's no product at all and it's a completely illegitimate sales approach. So really we need to protect people against this whole range of different call types. And the UK is hit particularly hard by these scam calls. These are calls to mobile phones here. And you can see in the UK, 9.3% of all incoming calls on mobiles fall into that scam category, that last most dangerous category. Whereas across the rest of Europe, the numbers are much lower. And when you look at somewhere like the Republic of Ireland, it's less than 1% versus 9.3% in the UK. So this is a particular problem in the UK. Each year, 1 in 13 older people become victims to scam. I'll just throw you in some stats. You're probably aware of these sorts of stats from the work that you already do with older people, but it's good to have the numbers. So each year, 1 in 13 older vulnerable people become victim to a scam, and half of those scams involve a landline phone call. A third of scam victims lose money to a second scam within 12 months. That is really, really important. If you're going to focus on a group of people to protect, you need to protect people who've just recently been scammed because they're on the radar of the scammers who are going to come back. National Trading Standards scams team said at a presentation recently, you know, once a scammer knows your details and knows that you're susceptible, they're going to keep coming back until either you've run out of money or died. And sadly, that's the reality. Single older people are 3 times more likely to engage with a scammer than those who live with a partner. So we particularly need to protect those who are living alone. 95% of scam victims suffer some form of emotional harm. This was an EU study, and a which study showed that 10%, 6%, 10% of victims experience physical health problems as well as mental health problems and well-being problems to their well-being. And City of London talked about the impact of a scam on vulnerable people: fear, distress, decline in mental health, social isolation, self-blame, betrayal, loss of confidence to live independently, and deterioration in physical as well as mental health, leading to risk of premature death. So this is a big problem to be solved. What can be done? Well, of course, I'll tell you that the trueCall box that you can see there is the solution, but probably the best thing to do, better than me telling you about it, I'd like to play you a little clip from the UK Defenders TV programme, which will give you an independent view. You got audio there?
Celia Kent is the oldest of 3 daughters.
Look, it's just gorgeous.
Her mother, Margaret, is an amazing 104 years old.
My mother was born in 1918, which is extraordinary. She likes to say that she's lived through 2 world wars, although of course she doesn't remember anything at all about the first one. She's doing very well. She's in good health. She has no medical conditions, takes no medication. But over the last 10 years, her short-term memory has declined very dramatically. I don't think she's got dementia. I think she's got the short-term memory loss of someone of 104. It was probably about 2.5 years ago that I realised that she was having these nuisance calls. She was alone when she received these calls, which must have made it much more distressing for her.
The calls were from marketing companies, pushing her into taking out policies and setting up direct debits worth hundreds of pounds.
She was ringing me afterwards in tears. Hello? Saying people were going to take all her money, they were going to empty her bank account, they were going to clean her out, and she didn't know what to do and she didn't know what to say to them, and could I stop them and could I check her bank account? And it was very distressing. No, please don't be upset, I will sort it out. These were happening increasingly every other day to perhaps most days. The impact of the calls was that she felt got at. She felt vulnerable, And the fact that anybody could just ring her up and say these horrible things distressed her very much. The fact that she was living on her own and she had no recourse except to ring me every time. So she did feel very upset by them.
Celia contacted the police, who passed her details on to Hertfordshire Trading Standards. They fitted a call blocker to Margaret's phone.
Please wait a moment. It's a small box attached to the telephone. What I was required to do was give Herts Trading Standards a list of numbers of family and friends who my mother would be happy to hear from. And anybody else that rang, whose number wasn't on that list, would not get through and would receive a recorded message just saying, contact me and my telephone number.
It had an immediate impact. In 1 month, a total of 30 calls were blocked.
Completely brilliant. Stopped all nuisance calls dead. She has not had, as far as I know, one call since then. It's fantastic.
I've seen people use these machines and I've trialed them myself, and they are absolutely fantastic at what they do. You can screen the calls, you can have certain calls screened through members of the family, you can have PIN numbers that you can give to people like the doctor and the dentist so that they know that they can get hold of you, but these nuisance calls cannot get through. There are some things that can be done to help you, but these call blockers are, for me, they're a magic solution to stop this.
Okay, well, shout out there for Herts Police and Herts Trading Standards working together to get a trueCall unit out to the lady. You can see the impact that it has had, not only stopping the calls, but the impact it's had on people's quality of life, both for the elderly lady and for her daughter who's caring for her. So great case study for trueCall, and it's not untypical. We do hear this sort of story from many of our customers. The recent project, the University of Portsmouth recommended that governments and other relevant bodies should fund high quality call blockers in all vulnerable people's homes for those who want them. So it's been recognised nationally that this is the right approach. And we're working with 33 police forces, 120 trading standards teams, 5 regional organised crime units, and 27 multi-agency against fraud teams to protect people all around the country. Major projects with 16 regional Age UK teams, National Trading Standards team, the Trading Standards Scotland team, Ministry of Justice in Northern Ireland, and we're doing a project funded by the Welsh Government. trueCall has got the secured by design logo, which means the police have assessed it as being a product that designs out crime. And of course, a big shout out for Surrey Bucks Trading Standard, who are running the biggest trueCall project in England. That's been a project that I think is approaching its 10-year anniversary. And a lot of people have been protected. I think we've got some numbers here. So yes, since 2013, Surrey Bucks Trading Standards have installed 584 call blockers. 400,000 calls have been blocked, and we estimate that 660 scams have been prevented. 660 scams. If you think of 660 older, vulnerable people who would have been devastated by the loss of money to a scam. The benefits of the project have been calculated and estimated at £8.2 million, which is 37 times the cost of the project. So not only is this doing a lot of good to people, but you can really show that the benefits outweigh the costs by a huge factor. And this is, this is typical of the sort of results we're seeing. And up here, in this case, we will claim for trueCall 95% plus of unwanted calls deleted. On this particular project, Surrey Bucks are up at 99%. And the people, certainly people in Surrey, are very, very well served. Not only Surrey Bucks Trading Standards looking after them, but Surrey Police also have trueCall units, and Surrey Age UK and Surrey also have them. So what we want to do is make trueCall units available via lots of different agencies. So wherever people go for help or assistance, they can get a trueCall unit. So how does it work? It's a little box. It plugs in between the phone and the phone line, just like a daisy chain. And setting it up is really just like setting up a cordless phone. It's very straightforward. You plug it into the telephone line, you plug it into the power, and you load up the phone numbers and names of the people who you do want to call to receive calls from. And that's called your trusted list. And trueCall works differently from other blockers. Other blockers tend to work on a block list of numbers that will be blocked. The problem is there are tens of thousands of those and they keep changing. We've turned the problem on its head and we work a different way. We work on the basis of a trusted list, a list of the callers you can trust, who you do want to receive calls from. And that's only a few dozen people for most of us. So you load up the trusted list on the trueCall unit, and when a call comes in, here's Maria calling her dad. Maria's number is trusted list. So dad's phone will very noisily ring straight away, because if the caller's number is on the trusted list, they get straight through. If they're not on the trusted list, they're intercepted. And there are two options, depending on the level of protection you want to give the individual. The default option we call filter. So someone calls in, they're not on the trusted list. They call in, trueCall checks their number.
If you are a friend, family member or invited caller, please press 7. If you're a cold caller, please hang up and don't call us again.
Okay, so, whoops. So the call, any untrusted caller who calls through is given, here's that announcement. They're told that if they're a friend, a family member or an invited caller, they need to press 7 to get through. Otherwise, they're asked to hang up. Now, this is remarkably effective because silent calls, they can't press 7, so they're blocked. Recorded message calls, you know, where you pick up the phone and there's a recording of someone talking to you, those can't press 7, they're blocked. Most automated call centers use technology called answering machine detection technology. That technology hears the trueCall announcement, thinks it's an answering machine, and we fool it into thinking it's an answering machine, and they hang up. And live agents, when they hear that announcement, they know that they're very, very unlikely to be able to make progress with you if you're being that careful about filtering your calls. They know, they've been told to only press the button if they're a friend, family member or invited caller. If they press the button and the resident doesn't know who they are, the resident is given very short shrift. So live agents, the vast majority of them will hang up and not get through. And that process blocks 95% plus of nuisance, predatory and scam calls. However, if you want more protection, maybe it's a dementia household, then we have an intercept feature called Trusted Caller Only. And this is the feature that the lady had in the TV clip. And what that does is it will only allow calls through from people on the trusted list. Anyone else gets a very helpful announcement.
We only accept calls from friends and family members. If your call is important, please hang up and call Bill on 07700 901 234 or enter your code now.
So what's happened is the caller has come in, they're not on the trusted list, they've been told that they can't get through, they've been blocked, but they're given the phone number of the son, the daughter, the neighbour, the carer, the warden, the friend, and they can hang up and call that person, and that person will deal with their call. Now, scammers won't make that second call because they want to get through to the person who doesn't have capacity, not the person who does have capacity. So it's very rare for them to make that second call. And if they do make that call, then they are, as I say, phoning up someone who's got the capacity as a carer. So let's say this is a legitimate caller. Let's say it's the vet phoning up because Tiddles the cat needs its injection. The vet is blocked. Maybe they're not on the trusted list yet. They call Bill. Bill will say, okay, yeah, give mum a call again. Oh, dad in this case, give dad a call again. His code is 769. And when the vet calls in again, they can enter the code 769 and dad's phone will ring. What this means is that dad's phone, well, firstly, what this means is that it's 100% effective. Silent calls are all blocked, recorded message calls are all blocked, automated call centers are blocked, and live agents are blocked. The only people who can make that phone ring are people who are on the trusted list or those who know the caller's code. And what we're doing is we're blocking unwanted calls, but any legitimate callers who aren't on the trusted list can still get through via the carer, the son, the daughter, the neighbour, the warden, the friend. So, some questions. Does trueCall work on all landlines? Yep. Whether you're Sky, BT, TalkTalk, Virgin, whoever you're working with, it'll work. It'll work with corded handsets and cordless handsets. It'll work if there are extension phones in the home. It'll work if they've got broadband, and it'll also work if they don't have broadband. It'll work alongside a pendant alarm system. It'll work after the digital switchover that we're all going through at the moment, and it can be managed remotely over the internet, so the carer can check that everything's okay without having to visit mum. So they can log in and see all the stats, which calls have been received, which ones have been blocked, which ones have been allowed. They can change the settings, they can add numbers to the trusted list, and that sort of thing. And they can do that from a mobile phone or a browser. And the data that we use and we collect from 10,000 trueCall units is used by police and trading standards and other enforcement teams to chase up the scammers. So who would benefit from a trueCall unit? Well, people who've been scammed already. You remember the stats I showed earlier saying that there's a very high probability of someone being scammed a second time if they've been scammed recently. Those living with a physical or cognitive impairment, those who live alone, who are much more likely to engage with scammers, those who express concern about the nuisance and scam calls that they receive, and those who've been recently bereaved. These are the key groups who we think will benefit most from a trueCall unit. We've got a whole load of resources available to help you. Statistics, cost-benefit calculations. We can provide you with an evaluation unit if you'd like to try it out. We can provide you with a presentation toolkit, booklets, leaflets, roller banners, surveys and consent forms, video training, online training. So if you're interested in running a trueCall project, do get in touch with us. We do run a day of webinars once a month, and the next one's coming up on the 24th of September. What I've done today is a cut down version of our introductory presentation about trueCall. We do presentation sessions on, we'll be doing sessions on installation, on using and analysing the data from trueCall and some of the hidden secrets of trueCall. So please do get in touch if you'd like to come and join us for any of your colleagues or partner agencies would like to join us for those sessions. And that's it. Thank you very much. Back to you, Lee.
Thank you, Steve. Now, that generated a number of questions. What I'm proposing that we do is we'll do the questions at the end, and then we can have a really good debate about all the various areas. But no, thank you for that. I think from my point of view, I mean, the trueCall machine is a really powerful and helpful tool, but with scammers and fraudsters come through the telephone, it's like they're in a person's living room. It's like they're there. It gives them access to their safe space. So by actually blocking the ability of these criminals to come into people's comfortable living rooms or whatever, it makes them feel more secure. It makes them feel happier in their own environment. And also another thing that we didn't really touch upon is if somebody's got mobility issues, if the phone is constantly ringing and it's a landline and it's the other side of the room, they're going to be more susceptible to trips and slips and falls. So it's a really, really good piece of equipment. But again, we'll go through some of the questions at the end, but thank you for that, Steve. I really appreciated that. So now move on to Stuart. So we've had one piece of equipment, we've had another piece of equipment. Now the glue that brings all this together is Stuart and his team. So if I could hand over to you, Stuart, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me along today to talk to you and everybody about the role that we play with Surrey and Buckinghamshire Trading Standards and the trueCall device and Remo door cam. Is my screen shared? Can you see my slides? Perfect. Thank you. So I'm Stuart Cole. I work for More Valley Life. We are operated by More Valley District Council. And our services really support people who require assistance in their everyday lives to allow them to remain living independent and living where they choose and connected to their communities. And when we look at the range of services that we cover in the area, so I suppose I'm talking from a district and borough local authority point of view, we run a wide range of different services, from transport for those who lack mobility, social centres, and then technology in people's homes that will enable them and empower them to remain living independent. The stories you've heard about the users, people living alone, people who lack mobility, they're the people we deal with day in and day out, and that access to understand where people's needs are allows us to really target the right response for them. We have a wide range of different technologies that support people in the home, from proactive services to reactive pendant alarms, and assistive technology as well, from working with Alexas and devices in terms of smart lighting, which can enable people to really kind of build a home that's fit for purpose and suited to their needs. But one of the key areas that we really take pride in and we feel privileged really to work alongside Buckinghamshire and Surrey Trading Standards is on that prevention of scams, because when we're out and about speaking to people, we do hear stories and some horrific stories of people who've been affected by scams. And so the part that we can play in being able to assist people and prevent that second scam if they've been caught that first time by using the trueCall devices and Remo door cam. So you've just heard about how fantastic these devices are, so I don't need to tell you what they do or the kind of mechanics behind them, but our role is really around that installation. So working on behalf of the team, we will take that list of phone numbers, we will program the devices, and then we'll attend the home to install and really make sure that our the service user's experience is really smooth and simple at being able to install these devices. So when we're there, we'll often speak to family members. We'll try and get as many people engaged with what we're doing, and we'll train the individual in the home on how to use them, but also the family and the care network as well. We know you've seen the benefits behind the trueCall and the deterrent that prevents people from being able to enter the kind of home via the phone. But the benefits of the door cam, we've seen a real clear correlation between people who just then don't approach the door. As soon as they see a camera, they move away from it. And I think that benefit, without even getting to the door and ringing the doorbell, is a major deterrent that we've seen. And I think with all of our services, really, the reassurance that this brings to the individual in the home, but that reassurance to the care network, and as I say, families, and again, you saw it in the video, I think in Steve's video, really about the daughter who was able to then be more relaxed because she knows that mum is safe, knowing that these devices are there to try and sort of stop and prevent, and that major deterrent from a fraud scam. We also have other devices that can work to prevent those scams. We have a bogus caller button. It's the red button that you can see there. These can be located next to the front door. They tend to be at a height that somebody can press them discreetly, and they're linked either to a pager in the home to another family member, or maybe to a pending alarm, which then comes through to an alarm receiving centre. These can be another deterrent. As I say, if they make it to the door with the door cam, actually you can then press that. That would come through to an alarm receiving centre through a silent call. The alarm receiving emergency call handlers then will listen on the call, and then they can appropriately put the right pathway of support, whether that's contacting emergency services, the police, or contacting family to follow a pathway as chosen by the families themselves. These can be disguised as well, so they're particularly useful by front doors as light switches, or again for domestic violence, these can be handy, so somebody can press that button and that will come through. And as I say, it can just offer more reassurance for families and users and carers. But I think one of the examples that I've got really here of where our trueCall unit has been really, super useful was we make proactive calls out to people, and actually on one of those wellbeing calls, we were speaking to Mrs. D for we'll call her Mrs. D for the purpose of this, but she disclosed to our operator that she'd been victim to a telephone scam, and she'd actually lost £6,000. Obviously, because of that, she'd lost a lot of confidence, and she was quite apprehensive when answering the telephone. But because our team had trained and understood the kind of need, we were able to inform Mrs. D of the partnership that we were working in with Surrey and Buckinghamshire Trading Standards. And actually, we were able to install trueCall units free of charge to people. And this would actually assist with sort of blocking those future bogus callers. Within a couple of weeks of that call, the recommendation, the trueCall unit had been installed. And since that unit was installed in May, Mrs. D hasn't received any nuisance or bogus phone calls. And we just got some quotes here. So from Mrs. D, it really made her feel much more confident when answering the phone, as she knew who would be calling. She felt much safer and will be telling her friends about trueCall and spreading the word. Her daughter, who was involved in the process as well, had sort of said, from her mum's side, when she'd been scammed, how it left her devastated and afraid to answer the phone, and that the device had given her peace of mind, her and her daughter, her mother, peace of mind. They're so grateful to Trading Standards and More Valley Life. And from Peter, who's our trusted project officer that installs these, he sort of explains it. It's a very straightforward process. It normally takes about 30 minutes. And from the outset, it was clear to Peter that both Mrs. D and her daughter were visibly relieved to see that trueCall unit installed and working. And with Mrs. D's permission now, her daughter also has access to the trueCall website so that she can manage the trusted caller list herself, and also keep an eye on Mrs. D's telephone record, which allows her to react quickly should she spot something that causes her concern. And I think just that reassurance in ability to feel safer is so important. We also have other forms of technology, I think, from our side, when we're in somebody's home, having that ability to talk to them, to understand what they want to achieve, is then being able to put in a support program for them. And as I say, that involves with proactive technology now, where sensors in homes that attach door can track movement, is also another deterrent, because again, if somebody's out of the home or if they're having a hospital stay, having technology in the home that can track movement and be able to work alongside the door cam is really useful. And I think it's also an opportunity, as we're talking about protecting our clients and the digital changes. I've seen a few questions come up about this as well. And so for those who don't know, Openreach and BT announced back in 2017 that all existing analog phone lines are being migrated to digital voice. So that's all phones and pendant alarms will need to be replaced over the course of the next few years. The local government association is sounding an alarm because this has become apparent that this has been now a new opportunity for scammers to target telephone and telecare device users and using a wide variety of tactics to extort money from them. We are often notified by one of our customers, and we had one specific one just recently who had received a call from someone. They tend to phone up people using sort of diversion techniques really around alarm pendant companies. They obtain the name of the company from the person themselves and then masquerade as the company, and they're telling them that the new digital switch is coming, and that it seems more common they tell them they need a new pendant, and that they need to pay for that pendant, and then they will send out that pendant to them. Luckily, I think through the awareness that we raised, most of our customers hang up the phone and then they call us, and we were able to quickly tell them that that's not a route that we would take, and we would never ask for money over somebody's phone. But this does happen more and more, and so I think these are opportunities for us to kind of say to people working with pendant alarm companies, our advice is always make sure that there is an accreditation with the alarm companies themselves, so that TSA badge that you can see there is really important, or contact your local council provider. Generally, as a rule, all telecare companies won't be asking for minimum contract lengths. They won't be asking for bank details over the phone. And so these are sort of standard messages that we like to spread out to people. The trueCall unit for us, as I say, when we have those phone calls, we're able to intercept those and then immediately kind of refer them into the device and install that device and offer the reassurance. And I think it's a real kind of added value to what we do. If anybody does want any more information, I think these slides will be shared. So there's lots of access routes into our services. Happy to answer any questions about how the referral process works and share that knowledge with you as well. But thanks very much.
Thank you, Stuart. And I think that really gets across the holistic approach to protecting our residents. So just to give a little bit of context, a fire officer is doing a visit. That fire officer notices that person was a victim of doorstep crime. So they've had a rogue trade around. So what they do is they scan the QR code that comes through. They request a door camera on behalf of that resident. We process that door camera. That door camera request goes to Stuart and his team. Stuart and his team go out, because his officers are professionals in independent living technologies. While they're there, they identify that this person would also benefit from a trueCall unit. It's us trying to just bring it all together into all partners working jointly and working well, and touch wood, I think that seems to be going well. But thank you, Stuart. Thank you for that. Like I said, we'll come to the questions at the end. It's now my turn. I'm going to share some things with you now, briefly, in a sort of summary. So hopefully this will work. So yeah, tick that. Yep. So can you see my presentation?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Fab. Okay, let's get going then. Where's my presentation? There it is.
Click slot.
Sorry.
Again.
There we are. Sorry. Honestly, we are technologically okay. I'll see that. Fab. So quick summary. So that's me. I'm the Deputy Team Manager with Trading Standards. I also chair the Surrey Serious and Organised Crime Partnership Board. So that is the county-wide board. It's multi-agency, and we are tasked with dealing with serious and organised crime. These technologies that we're talking about here, they also contribute to dealing with cuckooing, to dealing with domestic violence, related criminality as well. It's not just rogue traders. It is something bigger. So that's who I am. So what are the challenges? So we've got a lot of challenges. I mean, putting aside the challenges of the criminals and their adaptability and their resourcefulness in our own communities, this is for Surrey, and we have around 2 million residents that we need to protect and that we need to look after and make sure that we don't leave any of those 2 million people behind. A fifth of our population is aged over 65. Now, age isn't an indication of vulnerability, as everybody here knows, but as a general rule, it's just showing the type of population that we've got. Of those, approximately 20,000 residents are living with dementia. Obviously, cognitive issues make it more challenging for family members and also for the local council to protect those people. Only more challenging, not impossible, but that is a challenge that we've got. Low levels of reporting. Fraud, scam, yes, people are getting more comfortable with talking about it and people are increasing their knowledge of it, but it's still not reported anywhere near as it should do, and the actual real size of the problem, I think, will be quite scary once that information starts reporting a little bit better. But why is it? Why have we got low levels of reporting? Well, there's a whole range of things, but I mean the main ones: fear. So fear of what happens to me, what happens to my family if I report this. Intimidation, the scammers contacting them and saying, oh, you mustn't tell anybody or you're going to get 10 years bad luck and something awful will happen. Or if it's a sidekick, they might say, oh, an angel has said that if you tell anybody, you'll be cursed forever. And people are really, really taking in with this, really vulnerable people. Embarrassment. How many people admit to being scammed or being defrauded? Not many. There is a lot of embarrassment out there. And also, what happens if I tell my loved ones that I have been a victim of a scam? Are they going to put me in a care home? Are they going to, all of that type of thing all builds up to it. You've got ignorance. They're not aware it's a scam. They're completely unaware that it's a scam. And believe me, that is so easy to do because so many scams are tailored, they are engineered to the individual or individual groups, and they're so sophisticated nowadays. It is very difficult to keep up with it. And also confusion. If you've received a scam, what do you do with it? Who do you report it to? Does it go to Action Fraud? Do you go to the police? Do you go to Trading Standards? Do you go to Citizens Advice? Who do you report it to? What is the challenge that you've got? So those are some of the reasons why perhaps fraud isn't being reported quite as loudly. You've also got challenges about language. So you've got a lot of groups where where English may not be their first chosen language, in which cases they're going to be really, really challenged and really susceptible as well, because they may not be aware of what the customs are in the United Kingdom. They may not be aware that they are being scammed. So that's a challenge we need to come. And then we've also got cultural sensitivities and cultural barriers. There may be certain groups that, for whatever reason, are reluctant to approach authority figures. They may be reluctant to come to Trading Standards. They may be reluctant to report it to the police. how do we reach those people? How do we reach them to help them? I think that is the challenge. And then you've got isolation, marginalization. We know that so many people living in socially isolated conditions. I mean, Steve and a few other people touched upon it. You know, they're so susceptible, you know, they're so grateful to have a voice, to have somebody to communicate with, that they are more likely to engage with a stranger over the telephone or a stranger on the doorstep or whatnot. So how do we reach these marginalized and isolated people? And obviously for you guys as well, the biggest challenge is funding. Who's going to pay for this technology? Who's going to pay for the installation and so forth? So we've got a lot of challenges there. It's not as simple as just installing it and walking away. We do have a lot that we need to deal with. Don't worry, it's happier. It does get happier. So what we do, and you've heard from our door cameras, our call blockers, our independent living specialists. So trading standards, how are we dealing with those challenges? Well, what we've done, as you can see on here, we have drafted leaflets, flyers. These are widely distributed throughout both Buckinghamshire and Surrey by us, by the police, by Age Concern, by partners, by a whole range of different people. And these particular ones have a QR code on. In fact, all our new flyers have a QR code. And like I was saying earlier, this enables somebody to do a home visit, or indeed for a family member to pick up a leaflet at one of our information stands, scan the QR code, and it takes them immediately to our automated system. There's no time wasting, there's no anything. It's an incredibly efficient system. So they scan that, they fill out the information, and a door camera or a trueCall unit wings its way to them. So we are really passionate. We want to get as many door cameras and trueCall units out as we can. Ideally, we'd like our entire population to have one, but it's that important to us. The other one, the handy shopping guide, that's just another example of us using QR codes for additional technologies as well. So we have a whole range of pre-shopping and post-shopping guides that have been translated into easy read. And if you scan that, you can order new copies. We've got like a leaflet size format, or we've got a credit card size that somebody can carry into their wallet. So it's just how we're embracing technology right across the board. Now, the next one, this is our social media. Obviously, everybody has social media nowadays. On the right, we've got the TS Alert. That's our newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. Again, if you scan that QR code, you will be able to subscribe to our newsletter, which includes things like product recalls, food recalls, the latest scam information, things of that nature. And then on the left, we've got a mobile phone there. So mobile phones, they're getting more and more. As more and more people use mobile phones, they're going to get more and more susceptible to fraud and being targeted. So what we have created, and I've got to warn you, this might stick in your head, but we've developed a ringtone so that any unknown call coming into your mobile phone, the person receives this.
Don't give out your bank details to anyone on the phone. To anyone on the phone. To anyone on the phone. Oh no, no, don't give out your bank details to anyone on the phone when your phone rings at home. Don't give out your bank details to anyone.
Yeah, I think that's enough of that. That's going to be in your head for the rest of the day now. But we find that's really good to just highlight that, oh, this is an unknown call. Don't answer it. It just reminds people not to answer. So, but now down to the actual gritty. So we've been through what's happened. How have we used it? What are the results that we've seen in Surrey? So in Surrey and Buckinghamshire in 23-24, our prevention team, which is a specialist team that just deal with prevention and safeguard and things like that, they made 943 interventions. So that's 943 residents that were assisted by trading standards. Those interventions did a total financial saving of 1.4 million. So 1.4 million saving just from intervening. And that's things like contacting their banks to get their money back, and a whole range of different methods of getting them sorted out. We installed 118 call blockers in that period, 118, and we want to beat that. We want to keep going and get even more out there. Like Steve said, we're now in the range of 600 that we've got out there, but we've still got a long way to go. But those 118 call blockers, they blocked 52,635 nuisance and scam calls. Now that's fact. That's not hyperbole. That's not sales tactics. This is true. We installed 118 and they blocked nearly 53,000 scam calls, and their calls that would have got through to these very vulnerable people. Now, with a calculation, what's the saving? What is the saving to Surrey and Buckinghamshire from having trueCall units? It's good that we've blocked it, but how much have we saved? Just under 2 million. £2 million just by that little device sat on the side of the sideboard or on a table, just doing nothing but blocking. That is what it's saving the legitimate economy of our counties, which is just phenomenal. And over that period, we also installed 22 door cameras. Now, we only started working with these particular door cameras last year. So that was the first year that we did it. That is increasing exponentially, which is just fantastic. Now, when you put all that together, and you also include our Friends Against Scams, which is our volunteers and other initiatives that we do. In the year 23-24, Trading Standards saved £19 million for our legitimate local economy, which is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. But that is through partnership work with the police, with the fire service, with districts and boroughs, everybody coming together and really working hard. But you can make massive a big difference in your local communities. Now, so talking about trueCall units, Steve touched upon this a little bit earlier. With the trueCall units, they're actually a massive source of intelligence, and they're really valuable. So what I'm showing here this is a breakdown. This is May 23. Sorry, I didn't have time to do the latest version, but this shows you the calls that have come through in that 1 month, and it's broken it down into the different types of scams. So number 1, solar panels. Number 2, boiler insurance. Number 3, loft insulation. This enables you to not only identify the type of scams and frauds that are coming through, but also we can now plan. We can plan if we want to do something around solar panels to warn people, or if we need to do something proactive in the realm of double glazing or medical devices or whatever. So they're really valuable, as well as you getting the actual fraudulent telephone number, so you can take action against the actual fraudster themselves. You can do the analysis like this. You can also look at trends. So this is a different graph. This is for the year 23-24, and it's basically showing you what the number one scam coming through the call blockers, sorry, being blocked by the call blockers were. And as you can see, July solar panels, you know, through the roof, solar panels again. It's a really, really good resource from an intelligence and a trend analysis point of view as well. Really enables us to be on the front foot. So that's really valuable from our point of view. This is feedback from actual users of the technology. I won't read it because you can read it there, but it is powerful feedback. What we do is every 6 months we do a sort of questionnaire with the people that have our devices, just to make sure that they're happy, that it's doing, do they feel more confident in their home, and they're happier to answer the telephone, things like that. And the feedback is always really positive. They really appreciate our interventions, which is just absolutely amazing. It's phenomenal, really. So I started off with the challenges, didn't I? So here are some of the opportunities. This is for funding. So, National Trading Standards Scams Team. For those of you that may not be aware, we host the National Trading Standards Scams Team here in Surrey. They act as the national coordinator for scams and frauds, and they run every year. They run like initiatives for trueCall devices. So your residents, if you currently don't supply them, they can contact our National Trading Standards Scams team and they will get them sent to them. Other sources in relation to funding, the Police and Crime Commissioner. Like I say, both of these devices, yes, they deal with scams, yes, they deal with fraud, but they will also deal with cocaine. They will also deal with violence against women and girls. They will also deal with any criminality which involves a telephone or which involves over the doorstep. So the police and crime commissioners are usually incredibly supportive of these initiatives, and they're usually really eager to support financially in the purchasing of such equipment. You've also got the community safety partnerships. There will be funding available through your local community safety partnerships. I would contact them and see if they would be agreeable to running a project on door cameras or trueCall units or whatever. Local authority members, our project back in 2013 was initially funded by local authority members. We had a little pilot area in Mole Valley, which is one of our boroughs within Surrey. That was very strongly supported by the members for that particular borough. That was then joined by the Police and Crime Commissioner. That was joined by a few other people, and before we knew it, we were able to run quite a healthy project. But that's something else to be aware of as well. And then you've also got proceeds of crime, which I'm sure, as you guys will probably be aware of. But when a prosecution is successful, if that prosecution involves the acquisition of funds, cars, money, whatever, then the prosecution can apply for proceeds of crime, and a portion of the proceeds of crime will come back to the prosecuting authority. So if you're working for a local authority, it might be that the local authority has a little cash pot coming from their prosecutions. The police will definitely have a proceeds of crime pot. Trading Standards probably will. It's just something else to explore. There are other opportunities out there for funding, but I just wanted to give you perhaps a couple of pointers in which direction to go towards, or ones that we've found helpful. Now, what I want to show you now is this is a video. This is a video of two of our residents. This is two of our residents speaking. So rather than just taking my word for it or Matthew's word for it or whatever, these are two people speaking for themselves, and they're our residents. So these are people that have been through our process, and I think you'll find that quite useful to listen to them. So I shall let them speak in their own words about the experience they've had.
I applied for trueCall to stop scams and unwanted calls and receive only genuine calls from known friends and family, or of course GP or the hospital, etc.
You now know that anybody that rings the main line are my friends.
trueCall is a simple device which connects to your telephone line and blocks unwanted calls.
Before I had trueCall installed, I would often get sometimes up to 3 calls a day. Even if you put the phone straight down or block the numbers on the phone, they would just ring again on a different number.
trueCall is absolutely essential for me because now we don't get any bad phone calls coming through the house.
Setting up trueCall through Trading Standards is easy. We help you to add your trusted numbers so they can still call you directly. Telephone scammers and nuisance callers are prevented from getting through on your landline.
A lot of people, when you tell them about this, say, oh yes, I can do that on my phone, I can block a number. Yes, you can, and they'll come back on another one. With trueCall, they don't only keep these numbers where they can, they will go after these people and try and track them down.
And you don't have to pay for it. If you get Trading Standards to do it for you, it comes free.
If you're being impacted by scam calls, you could be eligible for trueCall free of charge through Trading Standards.
My life is a lot safer.
trueCall has enabled me now to carry on with my life in peace.
It's a wonderful device, really. Is that enough, Richard?
Yeah, that's great.
So there you go. So that's the important thing, what our residents think and what they feel and how they feel towards it. So I think if we can go to questions now.
Yes, I was going to pick up on a couple of things that have been said already, Lee, because we've got some questions in the chat.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to embellish from what you'd said, Lee, was when you were talking about mobile phone technology, and you were sharing the very memorable ringtone that I hope not everybody's going to wake up screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we that was originally designed by a dementia charity called Purple Angels, who have a local division in one of our districts, so one of our boroughs. But also inspired by that, we wanted to make that better known, so that's downloadable from our website. But also we have created scam awareness wallpapers for mobile phones. So on the same part of our website, we can get the ringtone, and it means that it's as well as an auditory signal. When somebody picks up their mobile phone, you've got that messaging visually as well on their phone. So that's two things again that people can just download from our website. The first question I wanted to pick up on was I think probably Steve is the best person to go to first, because there was a question about getting calls from the GP. So where something like a hospital or a GP is having an outgoing hiding their outgoing number. I just wonder if you could talk about the PIN system, Steve.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you for that, Catherine, and thanks for the question. Very, very good question. I explained there were two settings for trueCall, and I'll explain both of those. The first setting is the filter setting, where you just, there's a tripwire, the message saying, you know, if you're a friend, family member, invited caller, please press 6. If you're a cold caller, please hang up. So a doctor or someone withholding their number who's a legitimate caller can press a key to get through. So that's not a problem there. I think the area you're concerned about is perhaps the trusted caller only system that only allows calls through from trusted numbers. So if the doctor phones through from a withheld number, they'll hear the message, and that message will give them the phone number of the carer, the son, the daughter, the neighbour, the friend, the warden, whoever. They can hang up, call that person, and that person, once they've verified that it really is the doctor calling, can either, it may be appropriate for them to actually handle the telephone call rather than the homeowner, the person who was originally being called, or they may give the doctor or the dentist or whoever it is the PIN number so that they can call and they can get straight through using the PIN. This does work. I'm sorry, it sounds very complicated when I explain it. In actual fact, it's fairly simple and straightforward, and it rarely comes up, rarely raises an issue for us in real time. People can work around these.
Yeah, in terms of the PIN, I mean, I'd as the non-technical person, Steve, I mean, I'd reflect that it's a bit like having to have an extension number. So along with the record of the person's phone number, the health authority would retain these extra digits, so that when they get the block message, they can just type in that, like you type in an extension number if you were calling somebody a business or a company or a large organization. So it's that was how I would explain it simply if I was talking to a member of the public. If you could
much better than me, thank you.
well, when maybe your sophisticated understanding of how it works, Steve, is the problem. So if we could stick with you, Steve, as well, because there was also a question about protection on mobiles, and I didn't know whether you want to just quickly mention the trueCall SIM. It's not part of what we've been talking about today, but just if you want to give folks 30 seconds.
Sure, we do have a similar version of trueCall that will run on mobile phones, offering exactly the same features. I'm going to be completely honest. It's fairly fiddly to set up, and unfortunately, it's quite expensive. But we're trying to work with the major telecoms companies and get them to pick it up, in which case it will be simple to implement and cheap. So there is a solution available if you're in urgent need of it. Watch this space. There may be a simpler one and a cheaper one coming down the tracks.
Thank you. Okay, so Ashley, you were asking about cost to residents. I mean, Lee has touched on that in terms of funding and so on. In terms of the Buckinghamshire and Surrey schemes, though, the residents do not pay for anything. So we cover we, in the broadest sense, cover the cost of the physical devices, the programming, the installation, and also for trueCall, we cover the access to the web control panels as well, which enables us to help people with their devices on an ongoing basis, and also look at what's happening on the devices across our fleet, so that we can pick up if, for example, devices have been accidentally unplugged, or if somebody's receiving a high volume of calls, or if people are making a high volume of unusual calls. I mean, that's the back end observation is a kind of bigger topic which we're not really covering today. So all of the funding for ours has come through things like for the devices has come through things like counsellors pots and proceeds of crime, and the other things that Lee has spoken about. Ashley, did you want to follow up on that?
So just a quick one on that then. So if it is free, are you guys doing the install of those devices when we do the referral, or is this something that districts and boroughs could pick up, particularly with things like telecare services? where we're going into homes and fitting a care line, it would sort of make sense to put those devices in at the same time.
Well, I think Stuart's the best person to pick that up, because that's why we've the big reason that we've got Stuart on today, because right from the beginning, our Mole Valley Live Telecare have they are the community alarm installers for the district in which we did our pilot project, and so right from the beginning they have done our installations for us. Occasionally we have a trading standards officer fitting something if it's a really urgent case, but in the majority of the cases they are doing all the installs and programming of the trueCalls and the Remos and any other tech that we're putting in. So Stuart, do you want to say a bit more about that? Sorry we didn't give you enough glory in your piece for that to come across. So thank you, Ashley, for probing on that one. Stuart?
No, exactly. So yes, we started working together, as you say, on the pilot in Mole Valley, which is then expanded to cover the whole of Surrey area and up to Buckinghamshire as well. So we tend to do it in our own areas because we cover 5 of the 6 district and borough areas with telecare in Surrey. We do it, and that conversation is quite useful to have, and then either refer into the service or install at the same time. And I'm happy to kind of have conversations with those who are looking at that kind of avenue to install, and those opportunities as well of how that can work.
Does that cover that, Ashley? I'm not sure whereabouts you are.
I work at Woking Borough Council, running care line team over there, so I know Stuart from other meetings, so I'll probably catch up with you outside of this, Stuart.
Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Stuart and his team. That's really made a huge difference to the way we've been able to make this work. And one of the reasons that we looked at them as for partners in the beginning was obviously we want when we're installing a trueCall unit, we want the community alarm to continue to work and function. And so we're very careful about looking holistically at a person's situation, and they're certainly a very like-minded organisation to our own. So and go over and above in terms of the way in which they help to identify people and pick up on other issues they've got. And that's the key thing with the partnerships we work in. The same with the fire services in Bucks and Surrey. Really healthy relationships there with both of those services, referring people straight through the sort of a separate back end and making applications for people that are visiting in their homes on their safe and well visits, and vice versa. We're identifying people when we see them in the community who might benefit from some fire safety advice as well. So that's worked really well for us, Ashley. If you want to have a conversation with me as well offline, then please do. I think we've got most of the questions that were in the chat. The only other thing that was asked that we haven't touched on, which is huge, is how are people targeted by scam calls? So I don't know whether Steve, Lee, would either of you like to come in?
I think
I can start. I don't mind.
Where to start? It's any and every method of finding people's details are used by the scammers. And unfortunately, once the details are out there, they get circulated between the scammers. So people who are asked to fill in competition forms outside supermarkets or survey forms, false surveys, that sort of thing are used. Even some call centres now, because it's so cheap to make phone calls, will randomly dial numbers, and you'll just be hit by random or sequential dialing where they dial through a number range. So all and every method they'll use, what they're interested in are the people who respond, and they know that only 1 in every 200 or 300 people they speak to, or that every 200 or 300 numbers they dial, will give them a response, a positive response. But their business model is such that they only need 1 in every 200 or 300 people to respond to them to make money as scammers. It's a business, and it's a pyramid, and you put lots of people in at the top and you get the scams coming out at the bottom.
Lee, did you have anything to add to that?
I don't think so. I think Steve's covered it, especially, like the Insidious. They have robots that are automatically dialing numbers, and then the one number that gets answered. Oh, there's somebody on that one. So then that number, it goes onto a list, and then that number is then sold to another gang, and that gang uses it, and then that gang sells the number to another gang. It's just like personal information. Keep your personal information, to yourself. Really be protective of it, because it is worth an absolute fortune on the criminal market. And once you've been stung, then it's very difficult to get off it without using this technology. And then this technology will block it, and they'll know that they can't contact you anymore, and they'll give up.
Tasha, did you want to follow? Sorry, Steve.
It's just what Lee was saying just reminded me of something we've come across recently in Scotland. There's been a big push on home insulation, to use foam in your loft to insulate your loft in the rafters. And the scammers have been doing this for a couple of years. The problem is, if you try and get a survey on your house, the surveyor can't see the state of the eaves in your loft if you've got this foam down. Therefore, they won't give you a positive survey, and you can't sell your house. So the same companies who are selling you the foam and installing the foam in your house are now phoning you up saying, do you realize this foam is damaging your house? We can take it out for you. So although it's the same people, they'll use a different company name, and they'll go back for a second bite in order to charge you. They've charged you already for putting the foam in. They're now going to charge you for taking the foam out. So they'll use any and every mechanism they can to get you.
Yeah, definitely. We've had that as well. Short answer: don't put foam in your loft, please. Any family members or friends, please don't put foam in your loft. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, Tasha, was there anything you wanted to follow up on that? Did that answer your question from earlier?
Yeah, no, I think that answered it. I think I was because I know we were talking about at one point about people being targeted who didn't have capacity, and I was just like, how do they know? Because you always hear about a specific group of people being targeted, and I was just wondering, like, how do they even know that? But obviously there's loads of data and all sorts going around these days, and it can be quite hard to protect your own data.
Yes, yeah.
It literally is that. It's algorithms on the internet monitoring which sites you're interested in, or what you look at. Sometimes it's just random, like I was saying before. Robots are just dialing numbers and trying to get through. And then you've got, even to the point where people are looking through the sort of obituaries, the recently bereaved lists through the local postings, and sort of we tend to see those being sort of religious themed or psychic themed, and they're cold called and said, oh, I've been contacted by your deceased husband or mother or whatever. Those for me are the real evil ones, the ones that involve somebody's personal beliefs. Yeah, they're nasty. So yeah, there's no one particular way of targeting people, unfortunately. There's a whole raft of it.
In terms of landline calls as well, Tasha, who is at home during the day answering their landline, and you've got to look at the different demographics that are in that position. And also now, I mean, who has a landline? When you're talking about the landline calls rather than the mobile calls, who is still using a landline? So that in some ways it's almost self-selecting, that it's more likely to be somebody who is older who's retained the use of a landline. So they're very, very sophisticated, the criminals who are perpetrating these frauds. So but yes, as Lee says, keep your personal details private is the best sort of way, and don't start engaging with any of cold calls, whether it's at the doorstep or on the phone. Any other questions? Any questions for Matthew from Remo from the door cams, or for Stuart at My Valley Life?
No? Well,
is there anyone who wants to ask a question with me not recording, just to check? I know sometimes that might not want it particularly recorded.
Well, what I would say, thank you very much. Hopefully you've seen how we deal with it in Surrey. You can take inspiration for that. You can take part of it. You can take whatever. But it was just important for us to just share what works for us. I think going away from this, the number one thing to take away is just to get people talking about scams and fraud. You know, talk to the neighbor, talk to the family member, talk to somebody sat on the bus. But as soon as you say, oh, I had this text message, I guarantee the other person will say, oh, I've had something similar. And we just need to sort of desensitize, take the shame away from this. There is no shame in this. Just talk about it, let's share it, and let's deal with it together. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate everybody, all our speakers, everybody that's dialed in today. Thank you very much. Hopefully it's been useful. So Natalie, you can stop recording.